Yo, what's up guys, Rackles here. So in a few of my recent videos, I've actually made some suggestions and proposals for stuff that I'd like to see changed or updated on the Hypixel network, and a few of them have actually been implemented, which leads me to the obvious conclusion that the entire Hypixel admin teams are fans of my channel, so hey guys. Now but for real though, I think the more obvious one that I should probably talk about is bingo. Almost a year ago now, back after the first bingo event, I made a video talking about how I thought they could have made it better, and how I thought they could make it a seasonal event to go along with the new seasonal lobbies that they've been rolling out. At first it seemed like this wasn't going to happen because we did go by 1 or maybe 2 seasons or something before we got the next bingo, but there have since been 2 bingos. One was for Halloween and one was for Christmas. So it seems like instead of rolling them out seasonally, they're rolling them out alongside holiday events, which is also pretty cool. I mean, that's basically the same thing, which hopefully means we'll be seeing 1, 2, maybe more bingos each year. I personally really love doing them. Some of you guys might have seen I actually made an entire tutorial for the last winter bingo in which I went over every single tile and how to complete them. Obviously that is now completely irrelevant because those bingo cards are not going to come back, but you know, you can still go watch that if you like my voice or something. It is the longest video that I've ever made after all. But anyways, alongside suggesting that they do something like this kind of seasonally, I also said that I wanted to see the tasks be a little bit more, not necessarily grindy, but something that you would actually have to at least play the game a little bit to achieve. I think I used this exact same example last time, but there was one tile that required you to just dash in a game of Quake, which if you don't know, you can literally do that in 2 seconds. You join a game and left click and you're done. It meant that a lot of players weren't actually staying to the end of the game. They were just leaving right away. And that was actually something that Hypixel addressed a bit more in the Halloween bingo. They had lots more tiles that basically required you to complete the whole game. And they also made some of the tiles continuative. What's the word I'm looking for? Cumulative. They made some of the tiles cumulative, which means you could do them over multiple games. Say for example, there is one that needed you to pick up 20 mystery boxes in Turbo Kart Racers. You didn't have to do it in one single game. You could do it across like 2 or 3 games. I actually enjoyed the Halloween bingo a lot more than the original bingo specifically for this reason, and I also enjoyed it a lot more than the Christmas bingo because unfortunately they kind of went back on a lot of that in the Christmas bingo. They reused a lot of the same tiles, which I'm absolutely okay with. Obviously I don't expect them to come up with completely new tiles every single time. That would be 75 brand new tiles for each event, which is ridiculous. It's just that they reused a lot of the ones that I had issue with, which were ones where you could complete right after joining the game, and it didn't really require players to actually engage with the minigames at all. That being said, I did still really enjoy doing the Christmas bingo as well. There's just something so satisfying about completing all the tasks and familiarizing yourself with all these games that you might not normally play. They also added a few tiles which you could complete in multiple minigames this time, which I thought was cool. For example, there was one tile where you could either get like a kill streak of 5 in Quake, or you could do it in the pit. So I thought that that was really cool because obviously not every player is going to be super good at every game on the network, myself included. It probably goes without saying, I chose to do that one in Quake. Anyways, one of the other updates I was talking about is in another one of my recent videos you might have missed, they actually added a new beam to Quakecraft. It was the first time they've added any cosmetic to the game, or even just updated it in general, in many years, and it was part of the Easter event. They added the Easter beam, and I talked about how the beam was quite literally the exact same thing as the Easter projectile trail that they have in other games like Skywars and Bed Wars, which has existed in the game for many years. So all they did was basically just port it and make it go in a straight line instead of being curved like a snowball's arc would be. And so I mentioned that it would be really cool if they did more of that, where they took existing projectile trails and converted them into Quakecraft beams, because I don't see how it would be very hard considering they already exist. It's the same code, you just have to make it fire in a straight line instead of an arced one. And while they didn't exactly do this, they did do the opposite. I think in that same video I mentioned the existence of the power beam. I'll put a picture of it up on screen, but it's like a 3D tube of flames, and this was a beam that was exclusive to Quakecraft. There was no equivalent projectile trail in any other game, but as part of one of the seasonal events they actually ported it. They did call it the Flame Rings projectile trail instead of the power projectile trail, but it's quite literally the exact same thing. They even kept the same icon for it in the shop, which is this little sunflower. So I thought that was super interesting. That wasn't even something that I had considered at the time. I didn't realize we had unique beams like that no other game was using, and I'm pretty sure that was probably the only one, so I don't know if we'll see that happen again. I do still hope that in the future they convert more projectile trails into Quake beams. In the same video I talked about that beam, I also mentioned that I'd just like to see more stuff added to the event shop in general for Quake, and although I really was not hopeful for it, they actually did. They have since added the Snow Hat, which is just a snow block, and the Thunderstrike kill sound, which sounds cool in theory, but it's actually a little bit underwhelming. Don't expect me to be using it in any videos, but it is of course a nice little change of pace if you ever want to switch up your kill sound. So even though I'm not like a massive fan of the Snow Hat or the Thunder kill sound, I am still really happy that they did it. It's nice that Quake still gets that tiny tiniest little sliver of attention. Anyways, this last change that they made, I don't think it's actually something I've talked about on YouTube, but if you go onto the forums and then the Quakecraft suggestions subsection, the most upvoted suggestion thread was actually written by me, and it's one I wrote back a few years ago where I asked them to change the hit detection for a few blocks. Because if you don't know, there's a couple like miscellaneous blocks like buttons, flowers, barriers, and most namely pressure plates, which will actually completely block your shot. It will absorb your shot, which is obviously really annoying because if you look at a pressure plate, you should be able to shoot through that, right? And they have made updates in the past where they made it so that, for example, you can shoot through torches, because when the game was first released, you couldn't. Anyways, finally, all these years later, they have made it so that you can shoot through pressure plates. Now, I have no idea when this happened. They did not officially announce it anywhere, and I literally just noticed that they changed this like a few days ago as of recording this. Sadly, they didn't fix any of the other problems that I listed in that thread, but to be fair, at the very bottom, I honestly completely forgot I even wrote this, but I had a little blurb of text that said, hey, even if you fix nothing else, please just fix the pressure plates. After recording this, I'm gonna go update that thread to acknowledge that they fixed the pressure plate issue, but that they haven't fixed any of the other issues listed in that thread. I'll link it in the description if you want to go upvote it. Maybe eventually they'll fix the other issues with the game, but maybe they never will. Who knows? Although I did just establish at the start of this video that the admins are obviously massive fans of me. Which admin's watching to the end of this video? Is that you, Adam Who? Actually, I think he's on the build team. I don't think he can help with any of my issues here. All jokes aside, I mean, I probably didn't really have any influence on like any of these changes, but I am still super happy that they actually updated these things. If you like Quakecraft, please drop a sub so I stop bleeding out all these subscribers. Thank you.